I can really say that I actually understand what it's like doing a thesis now. And I don't know, it's not that hard, but yeah, it is hard. Hey guys, so right now I'm here in my room. I just got home from school. I would say that today has been really productive because I've been trying to finish a ton of stuff today, because next week there's gonna be an event and we're not gonna have classes for like the whole week, and then the next week there's gonna be like another event, so we're probably not gonna have lots of class for 2 whole weeks. So right now what we're doing, I'm doing research right now. I'm working on our thesis. I'm really rushing because since there's gonna be no class in the next few days, I really have to rush it so that I can have other students answer our questionnaires. So today I've been roaming around the school and I've been giving out these questionnaires to students for them to answer, and actually we're just doing our pilot test right now. So when you're doing a thesis, a pilot test is to help you ensure the validity of your research questionnaire. So you have to do a pilot test to make sure that the questionnaires that you have will be suited for your respondents. It's actually, right now it's really time consuming. So for the pilot test we have to give out our test questionnaires to 30 non-respondents. So I just finished gathering these papers from 30 students, and now I'm encoding the results. So I think one of the most time-consuming parts when you're doing a thesis is encoding the results. And it wasn't that hard looking for students. After we made a letter asking for permission from the dean to conduct a pilot test, other teachers were very helpful. So some teachers told me to just leave my questionnaires in their office, and and when they have classes they're gonna give them to their students for them to answer. So I was really happy actually, and I was really relieved because I don't have to like really go around and chase for respondents. There was this teacher who was really kind, and then she would tell the students every time they walk into the office, she would like give these out and she would tell me, "Oh, go answer this." I think it was pretty fast. In just 2 days I was able to finish collecting these questionnaires from 30 students, and right now I am encoding them. So I have these questionnaires right here, and I have the checklist here, and I also have the tests right here. So right now I'm encoding the English exposure checklist and stuff. So this is what my teacher taught me, our advisor. And I learned that you could actually like freeze this part here. So our advisor taught me that all the respondents, I have to like put them up here like respondent 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. And we have 30 respondents for our pilot test, and this is to help you validate your questionnaires, your research questionnaires. So if you want to make sure that they are reliable for your respondents, then you have to do a pilot test. And also, so the statements right here, I have to like put it over there, and then so you see this part, you have like a checklist here, and then they have like their frequency, so it has never, rarely, sometimes, usually, always, stuff like that. So my teacher taught me that so each of these, they actually have like corresponding numbers to them. So never is 1, rarely is 2, and then 3, 4, and 5. So whatever, like wherever they check, you have to like encode them. So you could know that this item for this respondent, he or she checked 4 or 2, or so that's how you encode them. And it's really time consuming because it's not just that This is just like the checklist, okay? I still have the proficiency test. And this is like 40 items. So you have to encode them like 40 items for 30 students. Actually, you don't really need to have a pilot test because pilot testing is for validating your instruments. Well, most of our questionnaires were adapted from other studies, and some were actually already standardized. So supposedly we don't really have to pilot test them, because you just pilot test questionnaires that are researcher made, and if the students made them themselves, then you have to like validate them. But for in our case, I think our teacher just wanted us to make sure that our questionnaires would be more suited for students in our context, in our school. So probably some of the questionnaires that we adapted, they're probably for foreign students or for studies in other countries. So we're not that sure if it's gonna work in our context. So actually it's okay for me to do a pilot test because it's better to be sure. But yeah, it's just a little time consuming. But if it's hard now, I think it's gonna be way harder when we start our actual data gathering. And right now I'm just gathering like a survey, a checklist, and an English proficiency test. And I'm already having a hard time with 30. I think it's gonna be harder when we do it like on 50 respondents. That's what we're gonna get. But yeah, I'm really learning, and I'm actually really enjoying doing thesis, although it's just a bit tiring. But if you're interested in your study, then it's not really that hard. Actually, the challenge here when you're gathering data is finding respondents who are actually willing to answer the questions accurately. I mean, I get it. I understand that they're probably in a hurry and they were just like forced to answer the questions. But what was really hard on my part was that when after we collected the questionnaires, like some of them, like there were a lot of them that they didn't even bother to finish answering. Some just started answering like halfway, and then they like submit it and they don't finish answering it. And it's just like, it's a waste of paper, you guys. And you know, photocopying is not cheap. If you're a student, I know that you understand this. And it's really hard to encode stuff that aren't there. Yeah, it's really hard to gather your data when it's not complete. So yeah, I really hope that when we give the actual test, when we give the actual test to our respondents, I really hope that they're gonna answer each question like if it's, I don't care if it's perfect or whatever it's, but I just want them to answer it all like completely, because if you're a researcher, it's like, it's a really big help to have the data that you will be able to interpret them. So yeah, right now I'm gonna stop babbling. I'm actually gonna finish encoding this checklist. So yeah, I just finished encoding that like long checklist. I really want this done so that after we finish encoding all of the pilot test results, and then after we get them validated, we can actually start giving questionnaires to our respondents. And all I can say is that thesis, if you've gone through this, I know most of you have, doing a thesis or research is not easy. It takes time, it's challenging, but if you enjoy what you're doing, and if you're interested in what you're studying and in what you're researching, it makes the whole process so much easier and so much enjoyable. And honestly, I've heard so many horror stories about research and thesis, and that most of the people that I've heard, they did not have a very good experience doing thesis. And I rarely hear people say like, "Oh my gosh, I love thesis. I enjoy it." I've never heard my friends talk about thesis like that way. And uh, honestly, before I started, I thought it kind of scared me a bit, because I thought, oh no, I'm probably gonna experience something like that, or I'm probably gonna have a hard time doing research, and especially since it's my first time. But honestly, for me, um, all I can say is that it actually has been challenging, but for the most time it has been like an adventure for me. And I'm actually glad to say that I'm enjoying doing my thesis right now, because I'm really interested in my problem. I'm really interested in my study. And one important thing that I've learned while doing research is that you have to stop procrastinating. Even though you feel like doing other things, you really have to prioritize your research or your thesis, especially if you're a graduating student, because that's a really, really big requirement for graduating. And sometimes we put it off. Sometimes we tend to do other things. Um, but it's actually really important to manage your time well, because sometimes you think that, oh, I'm gonna finish it in no time, and I'm gonna finish it when I want to. But actually, if you don't really put a timeline to it, you're not really gonna accomplish much, and then you're gonna cram. And that's probably where those horror stories come from. And maybe some delays may be caused by procrastination, or sometimes because you don't have an allowance in your timeline. Something might go wrong. Your statistician might not show up. Your data might be wrong, or something might go wrong, and if you don't have enough time, then you're not gonna be able to fix it in time for your defense, for your final defense. And I also learned, like, throughout this process, I learned that it's very, very important to communicate with your advisor, to really take the time to visit her office and like talk about stuff. If you're not sure about what methods to use, or what are you going to do with your research, you can't just shut up and like do it on your own. You have to ask for help, or else you're gonna be messing up and doing something wrong. And I'm really thankful, because our advisor is very, very accommodating. And I really took the time to talk to her about my study, and I make sure that she understands it, so that she will be able to help me when I don't get, or I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, it's very important to communicate with your teacher, or with your advisor, or whoever is helping you with your research. And sometimes it's a bit scary, and some might be a little intimidated to go and talk. And because in our case, our advisor is the dean of our college. But I learned that teachers are very much willing to help if you're also willing to ask for help. And I also learned from my dad, he always says that people tend to help people in need. So I really make it a point to ask my advisor and learn all I can from her. And when everything is clear, and when you know what you're going to do, then it makes the process so much faster and easier, because you don't have to keep on guessing, and you don't have to keep repeating the mistakes that you make. So right now I'm going to finish encoding the rest of this stuff, and I really want to document this process, because I think doing a research or a thesis, it's what every graduating student does, and I'm sure some of you could relate to this. And for my sake, I want to document this, and I want to look back on this after I graduate, and then I want to see I want to see how how it goes. So if some of you right now are struggling with research, and if you are also a graduating student, I could say that I can totally relate. And I know it's not easy, but hang in there. You're gonna get there. You're gonna finish this, and we're gonna all graduate in time. So right now I'm really making it a point to enjoy every bit of my journey as a graduating student. And yeah, this is my road to graduation, and we can do this. So that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, feel free to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and also click that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Bye.